Hi, guys!
Hello.
Are we all set?
All right. I think we're good to go.
So,
I'm just waiting for people to show up in my chat here.
oops. There we go.
Okay.
Hi, Jack!
Good morning, Jack.
We're actually
Good morning. Wait.
I don't think it's morning in Indiana because it's certainly not morning here. We are in Michigan right now. Where is everybody from? Where is everybody camping if you're camping right now?
Wisconsin. We got Cheryl in. Hello. Wade from Georgia.
Okay.
Hello from Minnesota. You're coming through loud and clear here in oh, nice. Dublin from Jersey, Indiana. Oh man.
Okay.
We are rolling.
We are.
So for the live chat today, we have a combination of our regular folks from A Stream in Life on YouTube, as well as an email list that we have started building called Epic RV Tips. So if you're from that list, you might not know about our background. If you are from YouTube, you obviously will.
We hope.
So yes, we certainly hope. So for those who are not familiar with our story, we're in our mid-30s. We retired early from IT work, and now we travel for a living after selling both homes. So we only have this 200 square foot Airstream travel trailer that we're currently in right now.
Yep.
So our biggest priority is finding the best places to camp, because that's not always an easy thing to do. You got to park this thing somewhere, and you can't exactly park it in people's driveways all the time.
Yeah.
So finding those spots to camp, the best places to camp that will bring you the majority of your happiness, that's really what this lifestyle is all about.
Exactly.
And that's really what this course also is about. We
haven't mentioned what the course is.
No. No. Oh, okay.
So we have the Epic RV Tips email list. We have all of you lovely people who follow us on YouTube, where we just talk about our travels and what we've done wrong most of the time. But we also have what we consider the definitive course on how to plan your RV adventure, and everything that goes into planning, whether it's a weekend trip or full-time life like what we're doing right now. So that is why we are hosting this live chat, to get your questions about how to plan an RV trip, because we want to help you out with everything we've learned, and to let you know that the course is currently on sale. So if all of this sounds interesting, you think it might be really helpful for your own RV travels, then you can go and check out the course now while it is cheaper, because we want to save you money. And that is in the description below, and also at astreaminlife.com/course sale.
But the idea with this chat is you get access to this mind. Just ask any question you want about RV trip planning.
Yep.
And our job here for this live session is to answer all of those questions. She's going to be primarily the one talking, because I don't know what I'm doing around here. I just edit video and upload them. She's the one who does all the planning, and I do mean all the planning.
Steve's the host.
But I will take a look at the chat and ask a few questions of Courtney that you guys are asking.
Yep.
And we will go from there and do it like that. So we have lots and lots of people here now. I'm liking all this. Looks like Rich is in from Indiana. I heard our story on the Mad Scientist podcast.
Oh, very cool.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Thelma.
Somebody said it's happy hour. It is happy hour, though we are delaying our happy hour for you guys. So we are, we'll be having a nice cocktail after all this is done.
Don't let that go to your heads. Don't let that go to your heads.
So real quick, some of the things that we can talk about when it comes to planning RV travel include, obviously, how to find the best campgrounds, but also how to figure out where you want to go to begin with, because most of us have these huge lists. How to find cool, out-of-the-way places along the way, making sure your travel route is safe and also enjoyable. And then lots of little things like cell phone signal, Wi-Fi, pets, weather, smoke from fires, emergencies. How do you deal with all of these things? So because all of that goes into an RV trip, especially one that is a couple weeks long, that you have to hit certain things at a certain time. So yeah, so let's get started. Do we have any questions that you've seen so far that you want to?
Let's see. Cheryl actually asked, how far in advance do you typically make reservations at campgrounds? And have you had to make adjustments to those plans? Oh, I could answer the second part. Heck yes. When you travel full time, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah. So this depends on the type of camping you want to do, your camping style, and also where you're going to do your camping. So when we're out west, we tend to do a lot of dry camping or boondocking, which means that we are going out into BLM land, which is Bureau of Land Management land, or National Forest land. And those places are free and they're first come, first serve. There's also a lot of first come, first serve campgrounds out west. And so in those situations, I will plan ahead where we want to go, but I won't make any reservations. I'll just make sure that we show up on a weekday if possible, which is a great tip. If you can show up on a weekday, because especially first come, first serve, because you're more guaranteed a spot. However, this year we're out east. Like I said, we're currently in Michigan, and we wanted to make sure that we could hit certain areas at certain times. And what that meant was we made reservations way in advance for certain things. Like the state park we're currently in, I think I made this reservation in January. That being said, we know people who are in this state park who didn't need to make their reservation in January, but they are moving spots throughout the week, and they can't do one of the weekend nights. So that's one of the things to keep in mind. When you want to be flexible and not have to worry about making reservations, that may happen. But if you are flexible, then that's not a big deal.
That's right.
Times we've had to change them. When our truck broke down in Louisiana, and we ended up having to stay an extra week and a half. Or
in Spokane, when the power would not support our air conditioner last year, and it was like 102 degrees in Spokane, Washington. There's no way we could stay there without AC. So guess what? We did go there, but then we had to immediately leave because we couldn't run the AC. We couldn't keep cool.
Exactly. And so there are reasons that you may have to change plans. That's one of the reasons why in the course we strongly recommend doing a lot of research and having backup campgrounds, even if you've made reservations, so that you have some place you can call and you already know your backup plans in case something happens.
That's right. Elizabeth asks, does your course show step-by-step how to use Google Maps? And Google Maps, we've been told from a couple of our customers, that alone is worth the cost of the course. There is so much you can do with Google Maps that I didn't even know until I started editing the video for the course. Yeah. And I'm married to her.
So there's obviously the Google Maps that you are probably familiar with getting directions to where you want to go. And there are a lot of things there that you may not know about, like how to set your parking location, how to switch to a bicycle route, how to tell your elevation changes when you do switch to a bicycle route. Lots of things like that you can do just in normal Google Maps. There's also the Google Planning Maps, or the Google My Maps, and we go into a lot of depth with that in the course, because that is how I do all my planning. I have so many maps. I have all of my ideas that I get from all over the internet and everywhere else of where we want to go. I have our route for this year, along with some side plans, and that's where I have all of our backup plans for campgrounds. I have maps for our hobbies, so I know general directions we want to go to. So many different maps. And that's one of the nice things about Google, is that you can use it to store ideas. You can share it with other people. You can put pictures in place. You can write notes. It can just make it super easy. So for instance, if we have to change campgrounds, I can just go there, look, click. I've already said how much it is. I have the phone number. We're all set. So yes, the answer is yes. There is lots of Google Maps in the course.
Yeah,
and we walk you through it all.
All those different things are layers. So you can put layers on top of layers on top of layers on your map and really customize them to really the nth degree.
Exactly.
Susan and Les ask, when camping at single night campsites like Harvest Hosts, how many nights are too many? We usually only do one, but we've heard of Harvest Host campers camping more than one. Usually the Harvest Host won't have a problem with that, but if you do need to go that route, be sure you ask?
No. So the official Harvest Host policy is 1 night only. If the host offers you a second night, you can stay. Officially, you are not supposed to ask the host for a second night. We have had hosts tell us, hey, we have no one else coming in. If you'd like to spend an extra night, you can. So that is a possibility. But officially, according to Harvest Host policy, it's supposed to be 1 night. Boondockers welcome is different. I think that depends on whoever you are actually contacting to stay in their property, on their driveway, whatever. We have heard of that being up to 5 days, and we have heard of that being able to be multiple bookings. So that one is different. I think that depends on who you're actually contacting there. But Harvest Host is supposed to be 1 night. We don't want to necessarily go and ask all the hosts if we can stay longer. It's more of a it's more if they offer is what it's supposed to be.
It's expected that you only stay a night.
Yes, we'll put it that way.
At Harvest Hosts. Yeah. BB, the traveling dachshund, asks, we find the winter and summer harder for camping. Very, very true, depending on where you are.
Yes.
They camp in Florida. They want to know how easy it is to camp in Arizona.
Okay, so Arizona in general is easier than Florida. Because Florida, we know people, you have to be like on the computer or on the phone the minute the campground reservations open to get a spot. Arizona in general is a little easier than that. That being said, it also depends on who you are, because a lot of campgrounds in Arizona are for retirement aged. So if you are retirement age, 55 plus, then, or someone in your rig is, then you have so many options. And if you don't book way ahead of time, you may have to move spots like we were just talking about here, but you should be able to find something in the area you're looking for. Now, if you're trying to camp in the winter and you are younger, especially if you have kids, the 55 plus places will probably not let you in. And that means you get a little bit more limited as where you can go. And therefore you have less of an opportunity to have all these different campgrounds you can check. So that makes it a little more complicated. But there are places like county fairgrounds and places like that that don't allow reservations. So it's all first come, first serve. And once you show up, you can stay as long as you like. So that is a really good option. We stay often at the Tucson fairgrounds because of that reason.
That's right. Rich asks, I'm guessing that your budget has changed since you started traveling. That is very true, and how that has affected you guys. Our budget is very tied to the market and how well things are going in that realm.
Yes.
And also where we're camping. Yes. So we were out east this year, which that's going to be a little bit more expensive anyway.
And we knew that going in.
Yes.
So we planned for this year being a lot more expensive because we're staying at campgrounds more and there's less boondocking for free out east than there is out west. So we knew that going in. Also, the market's been doing really well, and therefore our budget for niceties have also gone up. So
I talked to somebody who took a look at our Instagram account and he goes, dude, you guys are just on one big booze cruise. Which, if you look at our Instagram account, that's probably true, because we do enjoy sampling the local fare at breweries and wineries, and we're doing that a little bit more often because the market's doing so well.
Yes. But we know what we can cut down to. We have done it in the past, and we will do that if we need to do that. And then once we head back to Arizona at the end of this year, we'll be doing more boondocking and stuff like that. So our budget for camping will also go down. That's a really great way to balance that, is to do, if you can do some boondocking, especially out west, if you switch between doing like 5 days at boondocking, a couple nights at full hookups to get reset and go back and forth, that means you can stay at nicer campgrounds, but still have a lower budget because you're doing a lot of free stuff. Okay. I think so. We're going to have to put a quick pause. I'll stay, but some of you may know that our puppy Patty went and had a stroke a couple days ago, and she's still recovering. She's doing okay, but she is over on the couch panting like crazy, and I think she may need to go out. So Steve, do you mind? Oh?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Do you want to answer a question?
Yeah.
This is Patty. I'm just going to take her out real quick because she is on a lot of drugs. I'll be right back.
No problem. She's still a little wobbly, but it's all good. Okay, let's see. How long? So Tara asks, how long do you travel each day? What we like to do is we don't like to travel more than 2 or 3 hours max. We've traveled upwards of like 10, which was way too many, but we had a schedule to keep, so that was an exception. But we generally don't like to travel more than about 2 or 3 hours. That's just my comfort level. Otherwise, it gets old, you get sore just sitting in one spot. And yeah, we like to take longer to get from place to place, so I don't have long travel days. Let's see. Wade asks, would this course be helpful if you haven't started RVing yet? That's an interesting question. I guess the answer that I'm supposed to give is sure it would. But if you're like years down the road or months down the road, I don't. It may not be immediately helpful, but if you are right there, it's coming like in the next month or two, or the next season. I think getting the course, you can start going through and practicing some of the Google Maps stuff and getting an idea for some of the resources that you can look at as you are planning your future travels. I think there's definite value in that. I think you'll get the most value if you're actually out there and traveling. But if you're not yet, but it's right around the corner, I do honestly think there's a lot of value, because that's just your prep step, I guess, before you really get going. We got a lot of highs from different areas of the country. I love that. Chattanooga, Scottsdale. You guys are from all over the place. I love that. Let's see. Cracked on Boondockers. Okay, that's good. Couldn't find a campground in Tucson in March that allowed kids. We actually have found the very same thing, because so many campgrounds in Tucson are 55 plus. I will say that we did stay in Tucson for a couple of years, stationary, before we started traveling, and we stayed at the KOA. So that the KOA Lazy Days, KOA Tucson, they do allow kids, they allow pets. They're not cheap. They are one of the most expensive campgrounds that we have ever stayed in. But they are definitely not cheap. Let's see. Are the parks extra noisy in the summer with kids? Stacy asks that. Absolutely. There's a big difference, because the summers when people are traveling with their families and they naturally want to get out, and especially the resort campgrounds. We stayed at a campground a couple weeks ago in Grand Haven with like a pool and all these amenities. Tons and tons of kids there. There are usually quieter places within the campground, depending on the campground, of course. So if noise is something that would concern you when you're making your reservations, I would simply call up and ask for the quietest site, the site away from the pool and the office and things like that. So that would help to minimize the noise that you get in those campgrounds. But summer will definitely be noisier. Lots of people say, poor Patty. Yep, she's slowly but surely coming through, but I think it's going to be a little bit of a process. Let's see. Yeah, California wine country. Actually, one of the best stretches of travel that we've had is that 395 corridor north to south in California. Oh man, it was so like, I think it was Mono Lake was one of my favorite places that really stands out with these salt. I can't think of the tufts, I think, or tufas. That's the word. Amazing landscape out there in California. Does your course address tips and suggestions with Airstream newbies? That question comes from Lisa. Our course is not Airstream specific. We made a specific point in making our course as general and useful as possible for all kinds of RVers, whether you are in a 45-foot Class A or maybe 8-foot tab, in everything in between. So the short answer is no, it's not specific to the Airstream, but if you are in an Airstream, just like everything else, the course will provide value to you. Rick asks, Steve, what t-shirt are you wearing today?
You may want to explain why that's a big
deal. This shirt was actually given to me. It says, I hate people, and There's a scene of like wilderness. Like I'd rather be out in the woods than be around crowds. That was a gift from one of our Tucson friends. It just felt right to wear it today for this video. So, hello.
Thanks for your patience, guys. Sorry about that. We just got to keep an eye on her with meds and everything like that. But
Yep.
What did I miss?
Oh, you missed so much quality. So much quality.
Okay, let's go into more questions.
All right. Let's see. Sorry to hear about. Have the toll roads been a problem? Lori asks this when traveling with a RV.
So out west, we don't have very many tolls. So out west, no. Here on the East Coast, you can set Google Maps to avoid tolls, which we normally do, but you do have to be careful because what that will mean is that it might take you on some roads you don't necessarily want to take your RV. And so I set it to avoid tolls, but the day before I do that, and I check to see what routes it's taking us on, and I check to make sure that route's okay. We do not currently use a RV GPS, like a specific GPS unit, but I will look at Allstays. I will look at some of the other apps that show bridge heights and things like that. And I will also take a look at it using Google Satellite View just to make sure everything looks kosher. So what we've spent so far this year in tolls, we had to pay one toll with the Airstream, and that was coming out of New Jersey back into Pennsylvania, Delaware, Pennsylvania. I don't remember.
Pennsylvania, I think.
$8. And we've been all over the East Coast.
That's not bad.
We could have paid a lot more in tolls. So there are ways to avoid them. Sometimes they're worth it if you're going to be doing a lot of driving in a day. But since we only tend to do 2 to 3 hours worth of driving, it's better for us to avoid the tolls.
That's right. And the question I addressed earlier about campgrounds being noisier in the summer, Cheryl in the comments actually gave a good point. We find that Sunday through Thursday are much quieter than the weekends. That's absolutely true. We have found that to be true as well. Yeah. So that is an excellent point. I just wanted to throw that in. Do we use a weather app when preparing our travel?
Yes. It depends on how far out we're preparing. So when I'm trying to figure out our like summer travels, I have to look at past forecasts, everything like that to try to see, can we boondock in that area without AC? And as you know, a couple of months that ended up being the temperatures are way above average and we had to change our plans. So that doesn't always work because of the forecasting. But it's better to know than not to know, right? So like we check to see how much rain is typical in the area during that time, what the average temperatures are, things like that. Another thing to keep in mind is smoke. This is something that a lot of people didn't talk about until the last few years, but with all of the fires that have happened on the West Coast and in Canada and in the Montana area, smoke and fires are a big issue in the August-September timeframe. And
out west especially.
Yeah. And so it is useful to try to figure out if smoke was an issue or if fires were an issue in that area when you're planning your travels as well. We went to the Grand Tetons in August and only really got to see them once in the first day trip.
The first day.
And we went to Olympic National Park, right?
Mm-hmm.
Across from Seattle in August last year. And we never saw the mountains because it was so smoky. So just something to keep in mind when you're doing your planning. Another thing to keep in mind, I'm just going to throw this out there, is snow. If you're planning to go places with higher elevations, you may want to look into when snowfall officially normally is gone and the roads are all open. For instance, we went to Crater Lake the first year right after Memorial Day, never even thought about it. Luckily, the road was open, but there was still a lot of snow. So not something you always think about depending on where you're from.
Yes. And we have not driven through a lot of snow, maybe like a dusting. So that was Tara's question that she just asked. The short answer is no, not with the Airstream. And really not without either for the most part, because we spend the majority of our time in the Southwest, except for this year, of course, when we're out here in the East.
Yeah. And we will change our plans because we're full-timers and we have the flexibility. We will change our plans. So if a big snowstorm looks like it's coming, we have been snowed on the first day of fall in Montana. We'll either wait it out if it's going to be short term, or we will leave before it gets there so that we don't have to worry about traveling with the Airstream in snow.
That's right. Okay. I like the idea of a composting toilet. but how would it do if I'm only traveling 3 to 5 weeks at a time? Should it be dumped between trips?
Okay, we're going to answer this quickly, but this has nothing to do with planning your RV adventure with a course. I guess it does have to do with planning whether you want one for your RV, so that's why we'll answer it. We do have a composting toilet. We have videos about that. We have a whole playlist, actually. I don't actually know about whether you need to dump it between trips. We only know as much as what we have researched for ourselves, and we are full-time, so I know you need to keep it at a certain temperature for it to actually compost. So I think it depends on how you store it and also how much you use it, whether you want to dump it between trips. A lot of people ask us if it's worth it for bigger families or for single people. And that depends. It depends on why you're getting it. If you're getting it to prevent dumping and be able to boondock longer, then it will probably help with the family. It may actually not help that much being a single person, depending on how long you want to do that. So it's all a personal choice. We love our composting toilet, and we highly recommend it, but it's certainly not for everyone.
That's right. David asks, do you have any plans on traveling in Europe or camping in Europe? The answer is yes, but not with this Airstream.
Yeah.
If we do international travel, we will fly over there, maybe rent a Class B or something over there. Not exactly sure how that'll work out, but definitely not in this guy. Yeah. But in the future, we do plan
some kind of international travel. Probably not in the next few years. If anything, we're going to go and do a bunch of Canada travel with the Airstream in the next few years. That is one of the questions we get about the course a lot, is whether the stuff that we're teaching in the course is applicable to, say, Canada or Mexico or even overseas. And the answer is a lot of it is, because it's just the general how to plan. It's what to look for. It's Google Maps, which is applicable everywhere. A lot of the resources that we use are US based, but often have a lot of Canadian and Mexican spots as well, though I don't think they have things like camping spots in Europe and stuff like that. So yes, a lot of the stuff we teach it's a US based travel planning course, but I think I'd say 90% of it could be used in Canada pretty easily. Yeah. So just a heads up.
Mary asks, and this isn't directly related to travel, but do you carry a generator or do you have solar? So I guess this could relate in terms of where you're planning to stay.
And your camping style, which is very important.
So the answer is yes to both of those. We do have a generator. We have a Honda 2000 generator, which is plenty for our 30-foot Airstream with a 15,000 BTU AC even.
Yeah, we have an easy start on that.
Some people say it won't run it. Some people say it will. So don't take my words as gospel. It works for us. Yeah. But that doesn't necessarily mean with the exact same configuration, it'll work for you. However, we do have 500 watts of solar on top of the Airstream, and that has completely transformed the way we travel.
And that is because of our camping style. So one of the things that you really need to learn about yourself or understand about yourself is how you like to camp. If you want to do a lot of boondocking, if you want to do a lot of dry camping, then solar might be an option for you. You can always start with a generator because they're a lot less money, and it's usually good to have one even if you have solar, just in case, because it might get really cloudy for long periods of time, or you might be under trees. So having a generator is a lot cheaper option, and it can get you out there and get you started. Having solar makes it so much more convenient, and it makes it more of a lifestyle, if that makes sense. But it's obviously much more expensive. So that is harder to start out with, I guess.
Yeah, there was a question asked earlier. And I answered it, but I'm curious about what your answer would be. Okay. Is the course useful for somebody who's not yet RVing?
I would say yes. So first thing, the course, once you buy it, you have it for life. That means that you can go back and see it whenever you like. It'll never go away as far as we know. If it ever does, we will figure out what to do about that, but we will never take it down. And we're going to keep updating it, which means that it's just going to keep having the newest and the best information. And like I said, it can kind of help you figure out what RV you want and what kind of traveling you want to do if you go through this process of how you're going to plan your trip. Because I'm going to walk you through how to pick your destinations, how to figure out the kinds of places you want to go that are like off the beaten path, that not everybody's going to. And knowing that and knowing what you actually want to see can help you figure out your camping style, which can help you figure out what kind of RV you want and everything like that. So I think it is useful. Is it necessary to start RVing? Absolutely not. A lot of people talk about it being like what they would recommend, like dealers when you buy an RV say you should also buy this course because it would really help first time RVers. But yeah, that is my opinion on it. The other thing is the course does have a 30-day money back guarantee. So if you go in there and you look at it and you say, I know all this, or this isn't useful to me, then not a problem at all. Request a refund. We will give it right back to you.
That's right. Someone just asked they're planning on purchasing an Airstream in 6 months. Buy it now or wait for 6 months?
I would buy it now. I know some people who are here talking with us in the comments have taken the course and are also semi-new RVers. Maybe you guys want to chime in and say whether you think it would be useful to have when you're going to be purchasing your RV. But again, because it might help you decide what you need to outfit your RV with when you're deciding your camping style or your Airstream with. And it can also give you a better understanding of what you should keep an eye out for. So one of the ways we find the awesome places that we camp is that we're constantly on social media, on YouTube, on Facebook groups, and like learning about these really cool camping locations or seeing these awesome photos. And when I bookmark them, I immediately put them into my Google Planning map so that I link to where we heard about it, everything, so that when I actually start planning our adventures, I am all set. And so
Penny just insists on shaking while the camera's out.
Everybody watches our YouTube knows that sound. Okay, no more color. So that's why I would probably buy it earlier rather than later, because also once you get your Airstream or your RV, you're going to be so involved in trying to figure out how to RV that the trip planning aspect of it needs to probably take a back seat for a little while. That's how it was for us. I did a lot of our planning before we actually really started moving and RVing, because that gave us the availability to learn everything that goes along with actually RVing and not with the actual trip planning, if that makes sense.
Lori's simply states, solar and lithium batteries have been a game changer for us. Yes, we do not have lithium yet. We have AGMs, but we would highly recommend lithium. They charge faster. You could use more of their available power.
Yeah.
They are way more expensive, but they're lighter and they're simply better batteries. So what is your favorite app for finding boondocking? Deborah Elaine asks this.
My favorite app and website for finding all camping is campendium.com. I just love it because people give really good reviews. The way it is set up, you can easily see things that are important to you. You can see photos, and we can see cell signal. So that is a hugely important thing for us because we use our cell signal for our internet and we upload to YouTube pretty regularly if you follow our channel. And so we need cell signal where we're going. Freecampsites.net is a great alternative. They have more things listed there, but their review process is not as good. And it might be more difficult to figure out if your rig can, or trust that your rig can fit there given how brief the descriptions are, and you may have no idea about cell signal. Allstays, the app and the website are also quite good. I think you can only have the app if you're an Apple user, but you can use the website online if you have an Android as well. But Campendium is my favorite. It doesn't have everything, like I said, and it's newer, which is why we encourage everyone to use it. And if you go camping and the place is not on Campendium, put in a review because it will help the next person. And that's what we try to do as well.
So Lisa says, thanks, Courtney. You convinced me. Where is the link to purchase the course? If you're on the Stream in Life email list or the Epic RV Tips email list, you should have gotten an email today with a link with the discount code, so you're not paying full price. But if you don't have that, reach out to us and we will definitely get that over to you.
Well, it's also in the description to this video. You should see it there. And then it's also, Patty's
moving around now.
How about you come sit with me a bit? It's also just a streaminlife.com/course sale. And with that, you should see the course.
All one word, course sale.
Course sale. you should see the course, and you should see an extra discount applied down at the bottom when you scroll all the way down. So hopefully those are 3 ways: the email that you may have gotten today, the description of this video, and or www.astreaminlife.com/course sale.
That's right.
And the course sale is good until midnight on Tuesday, the
16th, I want to say.
16th. So you have a few days to think about it. You have the weekend, but midnight on the 16th.
So Gordon asks something interesting. You appear to be much more drama-free than couples, families, and many of the channels I follow. I sense that your superior teamwork makes that possible. Would you agree? First, our YouTube channel isn't built for us to get huge. I mean, we don't plan drama. We don't necessarily plan things to do, although occasionally that happens.
Yeah.
What you see is our life. What happens to be going on, like this mess with Patty, that's what you see.
Yeah.
But I would say that teamwork makes a huge difference in just the overall happiness of this lifestyle.
Yeah, and living in such a small space, or even just camping in such a small space with other people, it's important to have patience and to also realize something that my father-in-law said that just like struck me when we first started RVing. And that is, no one is there to make the other person look stupid, especially when you're backing in a trailer. Your spouse is not trying to make you look stupid because they're also making themselves look stupid, right? Like, that's not the point. Everyone is trying their best. So if everyone goes at it with that kind of attitude, knowing, okay, this isn't working, let's take a step back. Let's be patient. Let's talk it through. It really helps diffuse situations and just kind of keeping things on an even keel.
That's right.
It also helps that Steve is like the chillest dude ever. Like, it takes a lot to rile him up, and what riles him up does not rile me up. So we do make a really good team when it comes to that. But yeah, patience and remembering that no one's there trying to make the other person look stupid has really helped.
Natasha asks, does the course talk about campsite discounts or how to get them?
A little bit. So we talk about some of the programs like Passport America, Thousand Trails. We also talk about the KOA discount card, things like that. I'm trying to think if there's any other discounts in the course. Not that I can think of.
I don't think beyond the memberships.
Yeah. We give a discount to Harvest Hosts in the course, but I think those are the only ones that we discuss. We do talk about how to find like the first come, first serve campgrounds, or things like having the National Parks Pass here in the US can really help you with discounted prices on camping some places and stuff like that. But that's all I can think of with discounts.
Yeah, and Gordon states a prime benefit of the course is the ability to go back and revisit a topic. And I think the important part is you're not buying it for like a week or two or a month or whatever. Once you buy it, it's like Courtney alluded to before. It's yours for. I mean, you could use it as much as you want to include any updates that we apply to it. Yeah. You get all those for free. It is a one-time cost. That's it.
There is something we haven't mentioned, actually, and that is that there is a private Facebook group that goes along with the course, that as soon as you have the course, you are given the password to get in. And that is an easy way for you to ask your own travel questions. And while it's not super active all the time, we check it every day. And we are there to help anyone in that group with any of their travel questions. I've looked up campsites. I've looked up routes. I've done all sorts of stuff. And the other people who have taken the course are also there to help. And sometimes that is the most important thing, because I feel like there are a lot of smart people in that group, and I've learned a lot from them. And so that is another benefit, is not only can you go back and rewatch, but you can actually have the experience and the knowledge from other people who are coming from the same learning, who understand the concepts you're asking about, and get answers.
Mart D11 asks, do you look for campsites at county fairgrounds? In fact, we stayed in one in Arizona, the Pima County Fairgrounds.
And we've stayed in one here. Was it here in Michigan?
Yes,
we stayed in one here in Michigan.
So yes.
We do, actually, quite a bit. So the nice thing about county fairgrounds is, while they are not necessarily the most scenic sites by any means,
very true,
they are often cheaper. They're often
And they're huge.
full of lots of sites. Some of them are bigger than others. And not many people think to book them, and their locations can be great for cities. So most of the time we're staying at county fairgrounds when we're near a city that we want to be close to, or when we're looking for some place that we didn't make a reservation for and we just need a place to stay, and they've worked out great. So like I said, they can be cheaper. Another cool thing about fairgrounds, which we have not taken advantage of, but I've seen a number of times now, is they'll often allow you to store your camper. So if you're in a bind where you need to store your camper in a city for a little while before flying, because you have to fly somewhere, check out if there are any fairgrounds in the area and call them, because it's not always on their websites, and their websites often aren't very good.
Probably be pretty cheap too.
It's a lot cheaper than other places from what we've seen.
That's right. Let's see. Have you tried Free Roam? It's an application for boondocking, asked by Brian, which I don't think.
I have done a little research into that. That is going to be probably in one of the next course updates, but we have not used it a whole lot yet. So I'm not real confident in giving any kind of opinions on it. We'll put it that way. And that is another thing. If you have something that you're interested in and you want us to do some research on it, let us know, because I'm always looking for there's always new things popping up, new apps, new websites. And so I'm trying to keep on top of everything that's going on, and anything that sticks around long enough and seems promising, I'm going to try to put into the course within a short period of time. So Free Roam is on my list.
It's on your list. Have you ever left a reserved site when you have already paid and received no refund?
Not us in particular, but we know that that does happen. That's a very important thing to read when you're booking campgrounds, is that they often have very strict cancellation policies. If it is a state park or something like that, it typically means that you need to cancel with a certain amount of notice before you show up in order to get some kind of discount. And they may not be liable for giving you a discount for any other reason. A lot of private parks will have pricing tiers where if it's kind of like, the airlines where you can buy the cheapest ticket but then you can't change it, or else you have to pay a fee. A lot of campgrounds have something similar. At least we've been to a few here on the East Coast that have something similar. And so in general, I will always pay the amount of money that's a bit more in order to have better cancellation policies. And that ended up happening for the campground we were going to be in Tennessee, and it saved us a bunch of money when we had to cancel this year. So that is something that can happen. And so if you don't know if your plans are set in stone, or if emergency happens and that's going to be a problem, just make sure to know all the rules before you go. Okay, sweetie. I know. Someone is just.
We have a little over 15 minutes left, so I think we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, let's see if I put her down.
Let's see. What's a good tip for remembering to check cell phone signal strength and jot down? Well, she has really positive reinforcement in that I will complain incessantly.
Yes, he will.
If there's no cell phone signal, because that's how I do all of my work, like blogging and YouTube uploads and things like that.
Yeah. Often people say, why aren't you staying at this awesome campground? And I'm like, because
it's a dead zone.
Either it's a dead zone and I know it, or I don't have good enough information to tell me that we're going to have good enough signal. And I can do that for short periods of time with him, but not for very long.
We tend to like cell phone signal, like being connected in general.
It actually is really important to know, even if you are the type who want to get out and camp and get away from it all and not have internet, cell phone signal can be important when an emergency happens. So
like, for example, your dog has a seizure.
Yeah. Luckily, we had great cell phone signal, and we were able to immediately Google where the closest emergency vets were, call somebody, and figure everything out. If you are going to stay somewhere that does not have cell phone signal, or it may not be very good, then it's important to kind of research where the cell phone signal around you would be okay. And that can help you. Sorry, I'm just watching Patty.
She's stumbling around right now. She's very restless.
She is. She probably has to go back out. That can help you. So at least if there is an emergency, you are prepared. A lot of people will actually research where the closest hospital is, where the closest emergency vet is beforehand. We don't necessarily do that because we are always going to be where there is cell phone signal. In addition, if you are very interested in making sure you have cell phone signal, we have a cell booster, which helps amplify the signal so that even when it's not great, it is better for us. That is an option for you as well. And we go over some of that in the course, or you can watch one of our videos about our cell booster.
Rich asks, how do you avoid roads with low clearances?
So I do a few things. Like I said, we do not have an RV GPS. There are some out there that can help you with that, and you can set it to RV to make sure you don't go down a road that would not be appropriate. But what we do is I look on Allstays. Allstays tends to have a lot of the low clearances for you to see. I'll also do searches on the state's website. For instance, Delaware has an amazing website where they list all of their bridges and their clearances. And so you can go and look and see exactly what the clearances are and how the bridge is situated and everything like that. So that is out there for some states. And then another way is to actually ask or type it into Google. So either ask in a Facebook group or type your question about a route into Google. And other people have probably asked the same question. So if you've looked at it on the map and you're a little bit iffy with the satellite view or whatever, it looks very curvy, go and research it on Google or in a Facebook group, and you'll probably find someone else who has asked the same question.
Cheryl asks, I find my biggest stress is finding a good site. Do you have tips for selecting the site within a campground? For example, campsitephotos.com or something else.
So campsitephotos.com is a great source if that is available. Some websites, like some state parks, will have a small photo of the campsite. Campendium will often have photos, or at least if you read through the reviews, people will say, it's really noisy in this area, so you probably want to stay over here. Look on Google Satellite View, especially if there aren't trees. If there are trees, that's a little tougher, but you should be able to see like how close you are to the pool or how close you are to the road, or does it look like the sites are really wonky? That being said, there's only so much you can do. So we're at Traverse City State Park, and the sites are a little interesting here. They're a little bit different in different places, and the electrical boxes are shared between sites. So the first one we went to, which was only supposed to be for one night, we couldn't actually get into the spot and reach the electrical box. And so we had to go down to the front office and ask them for them to move us for one night. So that is something that we will be putting on Campendium, by the way, so that other people know that isn't something that's a little bit different about this campground. So yeah, campsitephotos.com, and reviews either on Campendium or just search reviews on Google, because Google will have reviews, Yelp will have reviews, TripAdvisor may have reviews, and you'll learn a lot doing that.
That's right. Joe asks, during the course, do you have a live Q&A after each course section?
We don't, because the course is at your own pace. And so you can take it whenever you want, how quickly you want, anything like that. That is what the Facebook group is for. So if you have any questions after any section of the course, you can head over to the Facebook group and ask it there. Or if you'd like to do it privately, you can email us. No problem. I answer questions all the time, and that is a way of doing that as well.
Patty's being somewhat of a pill right now, isn't she?
She is. We were hoping. We tried to make this so that she wouldn't have to go out or eat, but she is not a happy Patty right now.
Personal hotspot, valuable or not for full-time RVing? For us, it is definitely valuable. We use a Verizon MiFi device, so as long as we have Verizon signal, we have internet. And for us, it is, running YouTube channel, running blogs, it's critical. There's no way that we can pursue this lifestyle without a personal hotspot.
Yeah.
You might be different, but for a lot of people, we found that working from the road is more and more and more common. We just can't rely on campground Wi-Fi in most of the places because it's not very reliable, and everybody's on it and everybody's streaming, so everything is slow. So that is relying on Wi-Fi has been notoriously unreliable.
Yes.
For us as well as many people.
Very true.
Does the course address boondocking BLM sites and safety precautions?
Somewhat. So we do talk about boondocking. We talk about how we find the boondocking. Safety, we talk about some in one of the sections. We have actually never really had major issues with safety and boondocking. I know this is a question that comes up a lot. People are kind of nervous about it. We tend to boondock away, not too far away from anybody though. Oh, sorry. I'm just worried she's going to hurt herself.
I know. It's all good.
So we tend to boondock in such a way that we can see somebody in the distance, or at least we're close enough to a major road that we don't feel super uncomfortable. We also always make sure to have cell phone signal, like I said. And so that means we're just a phone call away if something seems a little off. But the major thing is, if you're ever uncomfortable, don't go. Like, leave. That's the whole point of being in an RV and being able to move. If you have backup plans, like we've suggested, you have places you can go. Also, reviews do wonders. That is why I love Campendium so much, because we can hear about a place and know whether people have found it sketchy or not. Everyone's going to be different, and things can change, but that can really help you going in knowing that, like, okay, a lot of people have come to this place. These are the things they've seen, but they've all been fine and they all like it and blah, blah, blah. And so that can help you. Or like, maybe this might be a little sketchy. Let's make sure we have some backup plans and get there earlier in the day so we can decide whether we want to stay or not.
How does Steve find his breweries? And she finds them via like Yelp and some travel site, TripAdvisor, or just Googling, best breweries in whatever, wherever we happen to be.
Yeah. And so, like I said, Google Planning Maps are great for this. I will go ahead and say best breweries in Michigan, and I will put a pin for every single brewery in Michigan, because even though we may not plan to go through that town or to that town specifically, perhaps I can get our route to go through that town. And so that is why a planning map is great, because you can just stick all the photo places, all the breweries, all the restaurants, all the hikes, all the waterfalls in one spot, and then kind of plan your travels around all of those things that you find interesting. And the things I just listed may not be what you find interesting. You may want to do the battlefields or the festivals or the museums or the barbecue joints. Whatever you find interesting, that's what you should be planning for.
That's right. So Stacy asked an unrelated question, but I want to bring it up real quick. We would like to retire early, as we would like to RV half the year. Any suggestions or know whether you're on track or not? And then a comment down below from David. Stacy, look up the 4% rule. I encourage you, Stacy, to email me separately so we can talk about this through email. But yes, the part of our story is we did retire early. We sold both of our homes. This is the only thing that we live in, like we said earlier. So since this is a full-time thing, a part of our planning necessarily includes the costs. So we always keep that in mind to make sure that we keep our costs down.
Or at least where they're supposed to be. And the 4% rule is a great starting point for figuring out early retirement. Steve has a separate blog called thinksaveretire.com. That
you plugged it. I didn't even think of plugging that.
He's been running that since 2014, way before we started traveling, way before we even considered traveling. And it chronicles our early retirement journey. But yeah, we also love talking finances and money and helping people in that realm. So if you have questions, please email either me, Courtney at astreaminlife.com, or Steve, which is Steve at thinksaveretire.com. And we'd love to chat over email for more specifics.
Will we be making a course about how to start a successful YouTube vlogging channel? The answer to that is no. Because there are so many better vloggers out there with so many more followers.
We do this for fun,
and they do all the right things. And they have we're probably not the ones to learn from, because we're not here to get huge. We're just here to show you what our life is like.
So we only want to teach what we feel really confident in, that we know and that we feel like we are experts on. And YouTube vlogging is not one of those things, though Steve does a fabulous job editing and everything like that. There are a couple courses out there that we can recommend. Keep Your Daydream has a course about how to start a YouTube channel that is very popular and we've heard very good things about. And if you're interested in editing, Kara and Nate, that's Kara and Nate, they have a hugely popular YouTube channel where they travel the world. They don't RV, but they travel the world. And she has an editing course that is supposed to be like killer. So,
and if you watch their videos, it is killer. David fired in 2013. Congratulations, Yay! David. I love it.
FIRE is Financial Independence, Retire Early, for anyone who doesn't know that acronym. So we also fired.
All right, we only have 5 more minutes.
Yeah, we don't want to make this too long for you guys.
Everybody seems to be in it for them. Yeah. Yeah. If you think this is a new career,
No.
you don't make a lot of money on YouTube unless you get huge.
So that's a question about why we do YouTube, why we have our blogs, why we have this course. We do not do YouTube or any of this to be our career. Like we said, we retired early, which means that we do not work full-time jobs anymore, and we don't have to. We have the finances, the budget to maintain our lifestyle. That being said, we like to have some fun. We like to go to breweries. We like to go and do these travel things that otherwise we probably wouldn't do to stick within our budget. And that is where YouTube comes in. That is the money we get from YouTube, which is not a lot, comes in from the blog, stuff like that. And that is why we charge for the course. As much as we'd love to give away that for free, we give away a lot of information for free in both the email list and on the YouTube channel. And we need to maintain all of the stuff that we need to do all of this, like the web hosting and the Teachable account,
camera
and
equipment, things like that,
the email account, and everything like that. So that is why we do charge.
the whole channel is about what not to do in an RV.
Yeah.
Like just a couple days ago, we moved into a site and our power cord wasn't long enough.
I mentioned that.
And it's like, well, maybe we need a longer. I mean, those kinds of things you don't necessarily think about until they happen to you.
Yeah.
So you'll see in a couple more videos that's gonna happen to us.
Yeah.
We haven't yet solved that problem, but we at least talked about it.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Let's see. We only have 4 more minutes. Oh, good question. Do you get insurance through any of the camping clubs?
We do not. We have our full-time RVers insurance. It's very important that you have full-time insurance if you're going to live full-time in your RV. We get that through Progressive. We have our car insurance through USAA. Mm-hmm. And then health insurance, we are both part of Liberty Health Share. And we've discussed why that is. The main reason is that we are traveling full-time and we need to be able to see a doctor no matter where in the country we are. And many of the plans in Arizona, which is our home state, limit us to seeing doctors in Arizona. And so that is one of the main reasons why we do Liberty Health Share.
Wade, you said you just enrolled in the course. I just got the notification on my phone.
Thank you, Wade.
Thank you so much.
Hopefully you like it.
Really appreciate that.
Like I said, if you don't like it for any reason, we will not be offended. Please, please, please let us know. First off, we'd like the feedback. Secondly, we'll give you a refund. But
Tim says it must not be raining because I'm in a good mood. Tim, you know me too well. Actually, it didn't rain too much today, but it's overcast. But this weekend, high 70s and sunny in Michigan.
Michigan's been gorgeous the last few weeks. It's been amazing. So,
oh, yes. Have you ever work camped? No, but we would not avoid that.
No,
I mean, that's something that we've always considered, but we haven't actually done it.
Yeah. So for those who may not know, work camping is where you can go and work at a campground, and they usually give you your site for free, probably with electric, water, sewer, and then they may also pay you on top of that, depending on the campground, how much work you're doing, stuff like that. It can be a great way to go and spend a season somewhere, because often you have to spend at least 3 months, if not longer, there working. But we know people who absolutely love it. We also know people who have had really bad experiences. So really make sure you research where you're going to work camp if that's something you're interested in.
So Robert asks, couldn't I get all this information for free online? What's the advantage of actually taking the course? And that's a good question. Yeah. And we actually get that a lot.
We do.
You can get everything for free. Yeah. I'm just going to say that right now. But you're not going to get it all in one place. You're not going to get them all video based. So we tell you, we point and click and show you. We don't just tell you, we show you how we do all this and how we've made it work for a full-time traveling lifestyle. Yeah.
So it took me, I'm still learning. So it took me years to come up with everything that is in this course, but I did it on my own. And so it's absolutely something that other people can do. However, if you want to jumpstart that, if you'd like to kind of get going without having to learn all of the mistakes we've learned and all of that, that is why the course is perfect for new RVers or for you, because it just depends on what kind of person you are. If you're willing to spend hours and hours a day and go through the mistakes and learn everything, then go for it, because it's a great learning experience. But the course gives you a way to bypass that and learn all of it
Okay, we have one more minute, so let's rapid fire through some of these. Let's see. Campgrounds are getting busier. Mark D11. Yes, campgrounds are absolutely getting busier.
Yes, they are.
This is becoming a way more popular lifestyle than it was in the past. So we have definitely found an increase in.
And that's something to keep in mind. A
Campgrounds.
lot of people who used to be able to just wing it and go out on a weekend in the summer are finding they can't do that, and they are complaining on Facebook. And I always feel super bad that their trips are ruined, but some planning is necessary, and you can usually figure that out by reading reviews from other people that that's happening.
That's right. Every once in a while, Courtney's pronunciations crack me up. You are not the only one.
I read much earlier than I talked, and I learned a lot of words by reading them, which means that they're all screwed up in my head, and that's probably why. Plus, I've moved around a lot, and so I say things weird. Glad you noticed.
All right. Oh boy, it just turned 6.
Okay, so one more question for everybody out there. We're going to have to cut this off for the planning chat. If you have more questions for us, you can leave them in the comments. You can email us. We'd be happy to talk about planning, about the course, anything like that on different channels or different ways. But here's the quick question for you. Should we do more live chats?
Well, we already have a few saying that we absolutely need to do this more often.
Okay, and if you have ideas on what we should live chat about, you can put that in the chat right now too. Thank you for everyone who came and chatted with us. You made this possible. Otherwise, we would have just been sitting here staring at.
We're getting some yeses. Please, nobody say no. Nobody say no. It's gonna hit me in my heart if you say no. Is that okay? We're all getting yeses. Good.
Okay, that's good. You guys are sweet. So yes, we plan on doing more live chats about all sorts of RVing stuff in the future. So if you follow our YouTube channel, keep an eye out for those. And if you have ideas for what they should be, either leave them here in the chat, or when we close this, I think the chat stops. So you can always leave them in the comments. If you are watching this after the fact and therefore can't be part of the chat, again, leave your question in the comments, leave your ideas in the comments, email us, Courtney@AStreamInLife, or actually that'll be the best place. But if you have early retirement questions, Steve at Think Save Retire is a great place too. Or come join us on our Facebook group that's public on Facebook. Lots of different options to get in touch with us.
The only thing I don't like about this is the fact that we couldn't answer every single.
I know. I feel bad.
Then if
we
you
tried
ask
to
a
do it
question
as
and we don't
quickly as
answer
possible.
it, you're going to feel bad. Well,
we love you all.
We will definitely answer it, just in a different format.
Exactly. So that's it for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to go have some happy hour. So cheers to all of you.
We delayed it for an hour.
Yeah. And we will see you all soon.
The beer's in the fridge. It just needs to be. Okay, bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks again.
Bye.
So you're going to have to end the stream. It's going to take us a minute to end it. So
3, 2, 1.